Frady Cat here. In this video, we look at the strange, bizarre history of George Washington.
Otungus fired at Washington again and again. 15 bullets at the heart. Not one found its mark.
And ask, was he really bulletproof? I am the dark historian. I dare to look at the weird, the unexplained shadowy corners that science cannot touch and man's feeble reason cannot explain. I'll just let you take over for a while. Imagine a world where there was no United States to enter World War II. Go back in time, remove one founding father, say America's first president, and perhaps the United States never formed, and the world changes forever.
But what is absolutely no dream are the facts of the Battle of the Monongahela.
July 9th, 1755, George Washington was in a battle. History says he should not have survived. This incident was part of our history books and removed possibly because it pointed to the supernatural hand of Providence, which doesn't fit neatly in the man's understanding of how the world is supposed to work.
There were 3 bullet holes through his hat.
George Washington, a colonel at that time, rode back and forth during the battle, delivering orders for General Braddock. Braddock himself was killed, and every other officer on horseback was shot, except for George Washington, of course.
2 horses were shot from under him.
Washington wrote his younger brother and described the battle. But by the all-powerful dispensations of Providence, I have been protected beyond all human probability or expectation.
And there was a bullet hole through here, through here, through here.
For I had 4 bullets through my coat and 2 horses shot under me, yet escaped unhurt, although death was leveling my companions on every side of me.
And another one right through there.
Some accounts said he later brushed bullet fragments out of his hair.
Hundreds of French and Indian rifles firing at almost point-blank range throughout that long and dreadful afternoon. And nothing touched him. Nothing.
15 years later, after the battle, Washington met up with an Indian chief who told him our rifles were leveled, rifles which but for you knew not how to miss. It was all in vain. A power mightier far than we shielded you. Seeing that you were under the special guardianship of the Great Spirit, we immediately ceased to fire at you. I am come to pay homage to the man who is the particular favorite of heaven, and who can never die in battle. It was said that another Indian warrior had declared that Washington was never born to be killed by a bullet, and that he had 17 fair fires at him with his rifle, and after all could not bring him to the ground.
I was very fortunate that day.
Not fortune. The Great Spirit protected Washington that day for good and great purpose.
I have yet to find any evidence to contradict this story, especially considering we have testimony from Washington's own letter to his brother detailing his miraculous survival. But surprisingly, the simpler story of Washington chopping down his father's cherry tree may actually be the story that is nothing more than a fairy tale. This iconic tale was created by one of Washington's biographers, a minister and bookseller named Mason Locke Weems. The story goes that a 6-year-old Washington was confronted by his father for chopping down his cherry tree, and the young Washington owned up to it, saying, "I cannot tell a lie. I did cut it with my hatchet." Of course, the father was happy he told the truth. Too bad the story was made up. You know, Washington didn't actually wear a white wig. He powdered his own hair. Yeah, believe it or not, George Washington was one of America's first hippies. I thought I got rid of you. What are you doing back? Another weirder story has circulated of a vision of George Washington and the future of America, that he dreamed the Revolutionary War would be a success. that there would be a civil war between the northern and southern states with the Union prevailing, and that America's boundaries would stretch from Canada to Mexico and from Atlantic to the Pacific. Now, this one isn't so concrete. We don't have a letter from Washington himself. What we do have supposedly is the testimony of a 99-year-old soldier in 1859 who overheard Washington speaking of his vision to another officer years before during the Revolutionary War. No such man was found to have served under Washington, but there was one that served under Benedict Arnold. The story was written by a writer named Wesley Bradshaw, who published it originally. It was printed in 1880 in the National Tribune and in the Stars and Stripes in 1950. If you'd like to see more weird history facts and mysteries, let me know in the comments. Also, what do you think of the dark historian here? Personally, I think he should smile a little more, but that's just me. No. Anyway, please subscribe, hit the like, and check out all the other cartoon videos, fun Saturday morning TV show facts, and funny stuff here on the Frady Cat Cartoons channel. Thanks for watching and have a great day.